We're back again with another midweek news. Let's get started. The OpenPrinting architect is looking for a new role. Till Kampeter, the lead developer of the OpenPrinting subsystem for Linux, has been laid off by Canonical. OpenPrinting is the modern successor to CUPS, the common Unix printing system, which was acquired by Apple years ago. While CUPS is still part of OpenPrinting system, more recent printers are being served by more modern IPP Everywhere, co-developed by Michael Sweet, ironically the original author of CUPS. Somehow, with a reputation spanning as many years as the one held by Till, I don't believe it will be hard to find new employment, quite possibly with another Linux distribution. Debian 13, performance improvement over Debian 12 on AMD EPYC. Everybody likes a new OS release that brings additional performance. Hopefully, this performance increase will extend to other CPU families and products running Debian 13, or based upon Debian 13. Lock account after failed logins on Debian and Ubuntu. The article discusses how to implement PAM_fail lock account lockout policies. Even if you're only going to test this out on a VM, this article walks you through the process. Fear not, there is an administrative override to keep things sane. The root user is typically exempt from fail lock by default. Ubuntu 24.04.3 released. This is the latest in the catch-up releases. The new ISO brings in all the current updates from the past few months, minimizing the time to update after install. The biggest feature that may have been included is a bump to the 6.14 kernel. The next point release for the 2404 LTS series is expected in February 2026. Linux Mint 22.2 Zara enters public beta based on Ubuntu 24.04.3 LTS and shipping with a newer hardware enablement kernel for broader device support. The big draw of this release is the native fingerprint authentication via a new in-house tool called FingWit. The Cinnamon desktop has gained better Wayland readiness but remains X11 first. The 22.2 release will be supported until 2029 once it's out of beta, and the expected release should be late August or early September. Tim Cook hints at Apple's product roadmap. While being intentionally vague about the upcoming products, Cook has expressed his excitement saying, quote, "It's amazing," unquote. There has been some pretty wild speculation about the upcoming M5 products as well as a lower cost MacBook based on an iPhone chip. Microsoft is promising to eventually make WinUI truly open source. Beth Pan, Microsoft lead software engineer, stated that the WinUI modern user interface framework will be made open source, although no date was given. The so-called Project Reunion aims to bring together those developers who adopted the Universal Windows platform, which was introduced in Windows 10, with those using older Win32 APIs or .NET frameworks. The process is complex and slow-going because of the proprietary layers in Windows that need to be shared or separated. While this would in some ways be nice to see, I am not going to hold my breath on it at this point. There's been an update to the Snipping tool. In Windows 11, you will now have the ability to draw on screen before taking the screenshot. It seems like Microsoft has just put Snagit in the crosshairs this time. They could have just left well enough alone. Sometimes you only need a simple tool for screenshots. If they keep adding kitchen sink features to the Snipping tool, it will just push people to get a more intuitive tool to replace it. OpenBoard is an interactive whiteboard for schools and universities which is capable of running on Linux, macOS, and Windows. This could be quite the handy piece of software if you're the owner of a Wacom or similar drawing tablet. Upon initial testing of software, it seems to expect that you either have two screens, or are using a projector or TV for presentation. This may have some potential. Proton Authenticator. Yes, there are many authenticator apps out there, but this one has a few tricks. Sync between devices, app lock, automatic backups, import-export, and is free to use. You can also use Proton Authenticator on Android, iOS, Linux, macOS, and Windows. This may be a good family or small team solution with this set of features. Audacity 3.7.5. Some great new features and bug fixes this time around. 32-bit PCM to FLAC importer. Fix lost focus after closing the registration window. Fix crash during wave import. Fix crash while using Macro Wizard. Support has been added for Windows on ARM, but this does require the Windows on ARM version of FFmpeg, and plugins are not currently supported. The Audacity 3.7 series was kicked off at the end of October 2024, which does give us some hope that there will be a 3.8 or 4.0 series coming later this year. Darktable 5.2.1. Just 6 weeks after the 5.2 release. Just 6 weeks after the 5.2 release, support for newer cameras has been added. Nikon D200, Nikon D5300, Panasonic DC-GH7, Pentax KR, and Samsung GX1L. This release also adds new white balance presets for several cameras. Several bugs have been addressed in this release, and you can find more details in the release notes. Calibre 8.8. The usual smattering of new features and bug fixes are here for the taking. An updated Kobo driver, updated Piper neural text-to-speech engine, as well as several under-the-hood changes or enhancements available for Linux, macOS, and Windows. LibreOffice offers free ODF migration guide. This article extols the virtues of ODF as an alternative to Microsoft file formats. The LibreOffice people aren't holding back any punches and have basically accused competitors OnlyOffice and WPS Office as being part of the lock-in mechanism for Microsoft file formats and making it more difficult to switch. Roku has launched a new ad-free streaming service. Howdy is the name of their new ad-free subscription video on-demand service that costs $2.99 a month. Content is coming from partners Lionsgate, Warner Brothers, Discovery, and FilmRise. Roku insists that this is the everyday price and not a temporary offer. CEO Anthony Wood stated that Howdy is, quote, designed to complement, not compete with premium services, unquote. I'm curious about this one, especially with other services seeing constant price hikes over the years. PCI Express slated for 2028. The new standard will top out at 256 gigatransfers per second for a raw bitrate and up to 1 terabyte per second bidirectionally for an X16 configuration. There are also efforts being worked on for reducing power consumptions. And that, my friends, will bring us to the end of another midweek news. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Have a great day.